So, for everybody that's tuning, we do have a guest, Mike Smith. He's running for City Council in Ward 4 in Brockton. So, for the people who aren't familiar with you, can you give us a quick backstory on how you got into politics?
And that's
Getting
Brockton.
getting into the politics, I pretty much was really never into politics. I knew a handful of politics out here, and I've helped them, whether with their campaign or just helping different people out along the way. I got involved basically because there's I do cleanups and stuff at points in times, park and needle cleanups and stuff, and when you express the concerns or you ask for the help, it feels like you're talking to a wall.
Right.
And it's pretty much came a point in time where I got tired of talking to the wall, and I started calling them out. And when you call them out, then you get looked at as the bad guy, and I got no problem being the bad guy at times. I'll lift the whole rug up.
Right.
But pretty much, a recent cleanup I did, I was pretty much asking if they would like to come out and help out because it was a big area, and then I can actually show them how bad it actually was. And just the way they responded to me reaching out to them, it was like a burden to them. So I said, you know what? Maybe I should try a different hat on and step into this. And I felt like the seats actually need people that actually care about the city and have ideas, because at points in times it feels like there's nothing being done out here. So I was like, you know what? I'll step up, because it's been many, I'd say for the past 7-8 years, people have been trying to get me to run for something. Most of the time they're trying to get me to run for mayor, and I'm like, a lot comes with it. A lot comes with the territory and stuff. Like, I don't have a history on the politics. I don't do. I'm not a lawyer. A lot of them are lawyers and stuff. For me, it's more so I actually care. So I was like, you know what? I rather not have the knowledge of this and that, but actually care. They have the knowledge of this and that, and they don't care. So I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
I'll jump in on this one.
Right.
Nice.
And
Nice.
sometimes that's good anyway. Oftentimes they have like the political gumption about them, but they don't know the neighborhoods,
Right.
and
Mhm.
they don't
They're
know that
not connected.
they're not connected. Right.
There's a complete disconnect
Right.
Right.
from who they are to the position they hold to that position being linked to the community whatsoever. And there's
Right.
the disconnect there. You can literally see pure examples of that when the way they speak on ideas they mention of what they're trying to do, and it's like, that's not a priority. That's
Right.
not a priority. That's not a
Right.
priority. Like,
Right.
you it's almost like they're driving down the streets of Brockton, and they got these blinders on.
Right.
Mhm.
And if they start fixing things or doing this and bringing the changes, it kind of steers them away from their agenda.
Right.
That whole agenda, like the backdoor deals and the secret permits and money going missing, and everybody's affiliated and pretty much protecting each other and protecting their seats until they die.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's why the reason why you see the same faces and the same names, that everybody, you have relationships where it's like relatives.
Mhm. Yep.
Transparency isn't there.
Right. And that's true. So I'm going to segue into
Oh, okay.
my question, because this is a perfect segue.
Let's
And
get it. I'm ready.
By the way, for everyone out there, Brockton is in Massachusetts. So it is
Yes.
Brockton, Massachusetts that we are talking about right now. So it is important that local government is seen, as we just talked about, right? They don't know the neighborhoods, they don't know the communities, but it is equally imperative that the constituents are seen as well.
Right.
If elected, what will you do to Ward 4 to let your constituents know that you see them?
So what I've been doing for the past 2-3 weeks is actually going door to door to businesses in Ward 4, and for the business that we already have. But mind you, Ward 4 is known out here as the Sahara Desert. And we
Mhm.
say that because there are literally businesses that are dying. And if they don't die, then they go to another town where they're welcomed with open arms and they grow.
Right.
The officials build relationships with them and talk with the owners and hear their concerns. Out here, especially in Ward 4, that's not being done. And I have built relationships with a lot of businesses out here over the years as an event coordinator, and getting businesses involved in different ways and just trying to help them grow and evolve, and whether it was staffing or different needs for their business. So for me, is a main concern for the ward is bringing in new businesses, but also building the relationship with the ones that we already have before they're gone as well. When we have 400 or more vacant storefronts in the whole entire city, that should be a call to action to do whatever we need to do to bring in the new business. Brockton hasn't really been business friendly for years, and we need to admit when we're wrong. And with these councilors, that's hard for them to do, to admit when they're wrong. And in this subject, they are completely wrong, because when we have councilors that tend to step out of their position and move like a code enforcer, they're scaring away the business. When it starts turning into harassment and moving around as a code enforcer and demanding invoices and this and that, that's not your job.
Right.
You are a counselor. You work for us. You work for these businesses. They don't work for you. They don't need to give you these invoices. But for me, I need to build a relationship and hear their needs. That's number one. As far as residents wise, I'm a homeowner here. I've been here my whole life. I know the burden of, especially the taxes going up.
Yes.
I wasn't for that. My opponent was. That's because they are barely at their Brockton house, because they have 2 houses.
Right. Right.
Using your Brockton house is a townhouse.
Right.
I mean, for me, I didn't get a tax credit, as you would say. It's actually a recess tax. Recess tax is when you have either a chemical spill on your property or a major fire on your property, and somehow brings the property value down, where they lower your taxes. My taxes went up by 25%, along with everybody else. But how do we have a councilor that had their taxes go down by 5%?
Right.
5% with from their current one.
Yeah.
So if you found something that our residents could have used, and we could have all took that, some type of plan or whatever you found that made your taxes be able to go down rather than up like the rest of us, you should have told all of us.
Right.
To hide
Right.
to hide something like that is like, what else are you hiding?
Right.
So for me, it's like I am dealing with the same exact thing that our residents are dealing with.
Right.
I'm a homeowner. I know the taxes, the water bill, the electric, and all, it's everything. But to go up on our water bill and to go up on our property tax during the pandemic, that was like a slap in the face.
Right.
And I understand, like, yes, a city has its own bills, you know what I mean? So it's like, you got to find that revenue some way, but at the same time, even our business owners, they're getting hit with their revenue, their property tax, but they're also getting hit with a PPT. A PPT is personal property tax. So stuff that they already bought, they get taxed every year on the equipment they already have that they already been paid for their taxes.
Wow.
So it's double dipping is what it is. So you're going to take revenue and then you're going to take it again. For what? For what purposes are you putting that money towards? Are we seeing better streets and better sidewalks and public safety? And no, we're not.
Right.
So it's like, for me, it is all about being out there, and the community knows who I am.
Right.
And I've been out here. They know my face. I've built a relationship, and I'll continue to build that relationship. Just even on a bigger platform. I don't go into hiding.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Nice.
You have my number. Call me. I'll show up. But I'm not showing up. Then I'm not really showing up as a city councilor.
Right.
As a friend, as a customer. And let's build that relationship. Let's get you the needs for your business, or as a resident.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I don't use the word constituents. I use the word residents.
Okay.
Because constituents is people that really voted for that candidate. And in the end, that's really what that word is. So it's like when they say, "Oh, I'm here for my constituents." Okay, that's cool. So you're only here for the people that voted for you? What about that? What about the rest of us? Because I didn't vote for you.
Oh, it's true. So
we're gonna stir it up a little bit tonight.
Yeah. No, and that, you know what, and that's fine, because Brockton needs to be stirred up a little bit.
We need a voice. When our residents have been quiet for so long, and I have no problem speaking for those that don't have a voice.
Right. Definitely need the voice.
There's no muzzle.
Mm-hmm. So I was born in Alabama, but I was raised here from the time I was a little girl in Boston. So Brockton back then, anyway, was like this place. It was beautiful. It was bustling. It was thriving. Like it was the suburb, right? I remember driving from getting on the BAT bus from Boston to Brockton. Like that was a big deal. And now, you know, you drive around Brockton, and like the homes are in foreclosures. The schools are declining because of all the budget cuts, but they find a way to decrease their taxes. But the schools are declining because of budget cuts, because you know they don't have the money. There's a drug epidemic. You've talked about what the other people in local government are not doing. So what can you do to take what you know, right, to the other ward councilors and work together to bring Brockton back to what it used to be?
So I do volunteer work whenever I can. I get people involved as much as I can. I put the word out on any platform that I'm able to. I do needle cleanups every year when the nicer weather comes out. And I feel like city officials know about the needle situation that's going on in the city, the discarded needles that are sprinkled out in our playgrounds and parks and schools, and they know about it, but they don't really know how bad it actually is. And I feel like I need to put them out there on the grounds, do the footwork, come see yourself. Because like I said, I'm out there, and I'm out there with the volunteers that underappreciated, and like it's like the city relies on them rather than a department or a program that's literally giving these away. I mean, we have a nonprofit out here that's literally giving these away like nothing, and you get a whole freezer bag full of supplies. And actually, at the moment, I'm actually going against that nonprofit to make changes within their program, their needle exchange. And there is no exchange. Pretty much, it's raising the awareness to these counselors on topics like this, and showing them face to face, like, just found this one. Come look at the huge area that's littered with them. Like we have parks that parks, schools, cemeteries, like in your own like nicer neighborhoods too, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So it's like
you gotta work together, right?
Working together.
Work together.
Work together. It's like, let me show you how bad this is. Let's come up with different ideas to attack this problem, and then let's all vote on that thing on the agenda, and then let's pretty much move forward with it, and then bring changes to the actual city. Because if we don't start doing stuff towards the drug epidemic, the homeless situation, the needles everywhere. If we don't do anything about these three topics, we will turn into Mass Ave.
Yeah.
We,
Right. That's like the zombie zone.
Yeah.
The main street of Brockton will be Mass Ave.
It's almost
There's
there.
already tents there. There's already tents.
It's almost there, just like Springfield. And you're absolutely right. It's like, you know, if you cleaned up Ward 4, what good is that going to do the rest of the wards in Brockton? So
for the cleanups that I do are not like I've never focused on one ward. Since I've been doing these cleanups for like I'd say 5-6 years, and it's never been just a ward. It's always been like find a hard hit area in the city,
right?
And let's hit it hard.
Good.
Let's hit it right back. And it, like for me, as a counselor, ward counselor, whatever position I am, it's not like, oh, I'm only focusing on Ward 4, because at the same time as I can shed light to other counselors and say, hey, that same issue is going on in your ward.
Right.
That's the same exact issue.
Right.
It's not like needles and homeless are only in one ward. It's across the city. This is our city. It's not just I have this ward, but this is still my city at the end of the day. And I mean, I've had these cleanups. Actually, one of the cleanups I just did was the Salisbury River cleanup. I got state representatives involved. I got a city councilor involved, and I had to literally show them in person how bad it actually was. And this is the wetlands in Brockton. This was on school property, and we literally cleaned up 100 trash bags, propane tanks, furniture, needles. There was 4 tents living on the property. And this is again, this is school property. How do we have a tent on school property?
Wow.
That's a safety That's a safety.
Right.
We have students.
Wow.
We have students walking back and forth to and from school. They're walking past these tents. How easy it is for one of these students to just be grabbed,
right,
and dragged into a tent. You put a needle. They put a needle to their neck.
Yeah, it's
the worst thing that could ever happen. We can't wait for that to happen in order to make the change.
Right. Oh, gosh.
Because that kid will never forget that.
Right.
That family will never forget that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and that'll be
priority in the city. Needs to be the number one priority. Safety.
Right.
No matter what.
Absolutely.
I agree.
If there's no safety, there's no reason to be here.
Right. Right. And they're going to continue to lose the businesses, right?
And go to other places.
Residents, right? And the residents.
It's a seller's market right now.
Right. Absolutely. So you gave me a good segue. You're giving me great segues. Thank you, Mike. I love
nothing yet.
So science has drawn the connection between long-term environmental pollution and mortality rates for COVID. Massachusetts communities with the highest percentage of Black, Brown, and immigrants include Chelsea, Everett, Brockton, Lawrence, and Lynn. Those are all hot spots for the pandemic. People of color are disproportionately breathe polluted air from power plants, the factories.
Right.
They live near the roadways, so they're getting all the emissions, as you know. If elected to Ward 4, how would you combat environmental racism? And it seems like you're doing,
to attack that area, it would be, you got to look at it as what a city likes to do. They love to clean up the nicer side.
Right.
Because they look at it as, well, that's the part of the city or the town that our visitors come from. They're going through this area, like Brockton. Brockton gets all these grants, but they take all those grants and they put them downtown. Now their whole reason behind that is, well, we need to show a quick solution by taking this money and put it towards this area. That way we can show a quick response from the money that they got. Okay. Problem with that is, you can put money in this area but you're having all these other side streets and all the off streets from that main area, and it starts looking like a war zone.
Yeah.
You have
Mhm.
you want to fix up this area, but you want this to be either outdated or a war zone or whatever. So what they like to do is, even during cleaning stuff, and that's the pollution. So it's like they will clean up this area that's not really that bad, but won't touch the area that's drastically hit. That's drastically, like, the city itself is turning into a dump zone, and it needs to be it needs to be highlighted to a point where the right people are seeing it. The right departments need to do their job. DPW, like, everybody in the chain of command, up and down. And if you can't do the job, then we need somebody that will. You're getting paid regardless, but we're not seeing the results. So it's like there's areas that like certain areas that are there'll be a huge dumping area, and it'll sit there. I've seen certain areas literally sit there for like a week or more.
Wow.
But if that same exact stuff was in another area, even a smaller amount,
Right,
it would be taken care of, no problem.
right.
No problem. So like I'm working with our first responders, I'm working with our Board of Health, our inspectors, and being like, listen, we can work together. I'm not gonna just straight throw you guys under the bus and this and that. But I want to hear your concerns and your needs, so you can do your job efficiently as well. And if they have the right tools and materials, then these areas could be cleaned up quicker, especially in areas that are hard to hit, that they can look at it as low income area, or they can look at it as the projects or whatever.
Right.
But again, they're the ones choosing when to clean this up. They're the ones choosing how long it's going to take to do that, or if it's going to even be cleaned up. Or you're just waiting for underappreciated volunteers like myself to come over and that's fine. I don't hold your seat yet, and I'm still doing this stuff. So like, hold seats already, and you're supposed to be representing us, not just representing this person or that person or this group or this counselor or this counselor at large, and everybody else is on the back burner. No, you represent all of us. But not only do you represent us, but you work for us. At the end of the day, you work for us.
Right.
So it's like you can't be in the seat and only represent a certain few. And for me, I have no problem representing everybody. There needs to be a better transparency, and there's always been racial issues in the city, whether it's in office or out of office, in departments or out of departments, the hiring process, the whole hiring system up and down, and all that stuff needs to go, all of it. And again, it still is connected to the backdoor deals and who's related to who.
Right.
I'm not for it. Again, I'll lift this whole rug up. And we go live during this whole city council meetings and stuff like that. You cut my microphone or you cut my audio, video, whatever. That ain't gonna be good.
You cut my audio, I'm gonna be like Casey. I'm gonna be over here like doing sign language and holding up signs.
So I found this information, and then all of a sudden it just goes like, nah, you ain't doing that.
We ain't having it today.
Because I'll pull up all your papers.
That's great.
I like it.
You can't paint a picture of somebody and that brush never hits that paper, and you turn around and call it art.
Yeah.
That's not art. Okay. Don't paint the picture. You want to paint the picture of me? That's cool. But at the end of the day, you have skeletons in your closet. Yeah. And they all
Yeah.
There it is.
Hey, Halloween's right around the corner. Halloween's right around that corner.
Oh, he's ready. I like it. Mike Smith is ready. I like it.
Told you I'll bring that energy.
What you got, Casey?
Yeah, so like we always say, we bring the people on that we think represent the people. This is another prime example. He understands the issues that we go through. He knows about as a homeowner. That's something that I've personally talked about on a couple episodes on here, talking about home ownership, the housing market, the benefits of getting it, what's been going on recently. This guy understands that. He understands the issues. People need to be seen. People need to be heard. He's willing to listen and hear you, as well as make himself be seen. So for everybody in the Brockton area, especially Ward 4, this might be somebody that you might need to consider. He's for the people. Again, he understands the issues. And that's something that we always preach on this show.
At the same time, it's not to cut you off. Like, I'm a homeowner, okay? But at the same time, I rented for 10 years before I was a homeowner. So like I know the burden that the renters are going through right now. At the same time, we need better programs, and we need to market and promote these programs so people do know they're out there. I mean, when rent is literally as high as a mortgage, and you can afford the mortgage. Right. Then you have some that think they can afford the mortgage, but they don't know that you have to pay all this, and this, and this, and that. But if you have the programs in place and be like, listen, these are the things in place, but these are the things to set you up to be ready for it.
Right.
Right.
But if there is no foot forward, you'll be renting for the rest of your life. And at the same time, there's some people that do want to do that because they don't want to deal with the accountability of what you have to do as a homeowner.
Right.
Because if you have that landlord and anyone, I pay rent, but it comes with this and that. Okay, that's cool, but you have to ask when you have to paint.
Right.
We need to try to get as many residents into homes as possible. Yes, it's not really a buyer's market, and it is a seller's market, which prices is going sky high right now. So it's like I've talked to realtors and asked them, like, listen, when is it gonna lower? When is it gonna drop? And he's like, honestly, it could be 5 years from now. Yeah. We don't know. They don't know. And they're the realtors.
Right.
Wild. Well, I'm gonna get into the questions. So as someone who works in the community, and you work with the people, defund the police and police reform are some of the hot topic issues right now. In what way will you use, or what will you do to get the message out that these two issues are important and need to be addressed?
So for me, I don't feel like the defunding the police needs to be there, but I think maybe the term needs to be changed, because if you look at it, all departments, no matter what department you are, like fire department, police department, whoever, DPW to Board of Health to whoever, everybody has their budget. Right. So rather than defunding and taking away funds and turning an officer into a security guard, because at the end of the day, a city like Brockton cannot afford that, because we will turn into Chicago. Chicago did that, and there's literally a lot more deaths, a lot more murders, and the response time is a lot higher too. So it's like I don't push for the defunding, but I have no problem looking at a budget and being like, oh, this isn't being used. Could we take that money and put it towards this in the department? Then yeah, you could reallocate it, but I don't say, hey, what are you getting for a budget right now? Oh, okay. Can we cut that in half and still try to survive? There's no way. And that goes for all departments. It's right now. I just did a ride along last month with a buddy of mine who's a Brockton police officer, just to see things through their eyes, ask questions. How do you feel about this topic or that topic? Just to see things through their eyes. Take me through through your neighborhood. Like, show me stuff that a resident isn't even seeing right now. And they're like, okay, let's go. I was only going to do a couple hours turns into the whole shift. I fully support our first responders, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that's going to protect us.
Right.
If we have a call come in that for whatever our needs are, whether it's for help medically or a safety purpose, if that respond time turns in from 10 minutes to a half hour, you could be dead.
Right.
I don't think that's a risk that we can afford and take. I feel like that. I think we need more officers in Brockton. I recently found out that there is only 8 officers to a patrol, and that's on each shift. So there's 8 officers on third shift on a Friday night. For a city of 106,000 people.
Right.
So you have an officer way down here, and you have an officer way down here. If the calls come in, how long is that going to take for them to get to that area?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, I think the term needs to be changed, because if you look at it, the term itself, it causes conflict from both sides. I see it from both sides. I'm in the community. I do see it. And at the same time as I feel that officers need it, my main three things, by the way, is accountability, growth, and safety. Our officers need to be held accountable for their actions as well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I feel like the department has handled things in the past in the wrong way, and it turns into the lawsuits. And as residents, when they get hit, we get hit. We're the ones still paying for that too. So it's like, so for your actions, we'll pay for your actions for what you did. No. What I'm actually in process of doing right now is making sure our officers get body cameras, because I feel body cameras can help with the transparency going on out here. I think it can protect both sides of the law. It can pretty much stop the whole he say, she say. During an incident, hey, check my camera. Or they can be like, check this camera. Let's all sit down and watch this video. Okay, cool. Now, if an officer doesn't want it, then what are you hiding? So it's like, we need to find out, because it did go to the state house and it did get voted no, but I think a group went up there and I think there was some protest about it, because it was for rights. I think it was pretty much a right action, but it's not against. So I started doing some digging. I'm like, listen, does this really go against our rights as a citizen or a resident? And it doesn't, because at the end of the day, with what that officer sees or what that person sees isn't changing what the camera shows. It just shows the visual. To rewind it back. Now, if it was something that, like, I'm wearing this jacket and you're wearing a device that does like X-ray, and you can see something in my jacket, then that is against your rights.
Right.
If it was something like audio-wise, where they slap something under your car and they're tracking your movements, or they're tracking and they're listening in, it's a listening device, that's against your rights. So, but a camera, you see the camera though, you know it's on, but at the same time it's like, listen, okay, if I do this, all right, so if you do this and that as an officer and you are literally going against your own procedures and everything, then that's going to show up. So go ahead, let's just continue this. They are needed, and I also think we need an auto theft task force. And then I also found out that we need a special victims interrogation room as well. I also found out somebody went into the police station and they needed to share their story on them being raped. And what I found out is they literally had to share their story in the hallway of the main lobby area. You can't let a victim share their story behind somebody that's paying a ticket.
Right.
So if that is the case, then we need other things in action. Again, that's also part of transparency. So it's like, there are things needed. I know they're supposed to be doing building a new station. I think the public did need to sit in on that and hear the priorities of it and this and that. And it did get passed without the public being there or any type of really acknowledgement. And a friend of mine who's running for mayor right now, Tina Cardoza, she actually brought this up and said, listen, our citizens and residents weren't there and they had no say on this. It's a $100 million facility. At the end of the day, we're paying that. But at the same time, I do know, because actually after my ride along, I got a little tour of the building, and it's bad. It's definitely run down. It's just as bad as Brockton High, the school. That school is falling apart. The police department is falling apart just as much.
Wow.
And because right where the station is, the train station's right next to it. So all that vibration, things are just falling apart. It's just crumbling. It's literally a building that could just crumble on top of everybody.
Wow.
But again,
wow.
So to answer the question about the defunding and stuff, I don't think we can fully cut a budget, but we can look into a budget. I stand by I stand for our first responders and their needs. But at the same time, when I say that, it's not like, oh, he messed up. I stand by him though.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. Mm-hmm. You messed up. You need to take the accountability for that. You need to be let go. You need all laws to fall down upon you and take you out.
Right. Excellent. We
need our departments to represent us as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
This is a city official. This is also a city official as well.
Right.
It's just a different department.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay. This next one, and you kind of actually touched bases in it when you were answering one of Lana's questions. As someone who cleans different areas around Brockton, what are some of the things that you will do to fight climate change and to help the people understand why this is important work?
Right. So right now, that river that I cleaned up, the Salisbury River, it was in Ward 5. I got the city councilor involved in that. It was Jeff Thompson. I had him come in and show him how bad it was. I had the state representative involved, nice. Which was Jerry Cassidy. And they were like, listen, we need some drastic changes to help this area. I said, right. I also found, when I was doing my little digging, is that back in the day, that area had a piece of equipment inside the water. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Inside the water? Oh,
inside the water, there was a device. And what this does is it sucks up all the surface trash and collects it into this area.
Okay.
Then DPW would come in and take it all out by vacuuming it out or pulling it out, straining it out, whatever. That device is no longer in the water anymore. So I would like to see, I'm actually in the process, and I'm already talking to the mayor's office and everything to get that piece of equipment back into the water. Because when they don't have that piece of equipment in the water, you end up in situations like this.
Oh, what is that?
Those are all trees that are down in the water. That is
okay.
The thickness of my car.
Right. Got it.
Wow.
It turns, and this is the same exact water where that device was.
Wow, look at all that.
That's a dam that was made out of just trash. I'm standing on it, and underneath it is about 2 feet of water flowing.
Wow.
When that device is not in the water, it creates a very heavy buildup. And what that does is that water goes all the way to Bridgewater. We don't need to be littering another town when we can't even clean up our own. When this water is flowing, that trash is flowing down the river straight into another town. We're now giving them problems. Mm-hmm. So it's like we need to pretty much bite it in the butt, bite the bullet, put this back in the water, put some extra. You need more barrels over there. They need the area to be monitored better as well. Again, this is on school property, and so it's like
that's wild.
There's literally things that we can do. There's things that literally that they already do. They already did, but why did you remove it in the first place? Because now it's just turned into a bigger issue. So it's like when when this first got brought to my attention, a buddy of mine, Brandon Scales, he brought it to my attention because I usually do the DW cleanup over at the next to the golf course, DW field, and that's usually a family friendly one. But he's like, I got an area that I want to show you, so I go over there and and I see how bad it is, and I'm like, I gotta cancel that other cleanup because we need to do this one. And I started calling different city officials, and they're directing me over to DPW. So I call up DPW, and I'm like, hey, how often are you guys in this area? And they're like, oh, we're over there three times a month. And I'm like, oh, do you know how bad it? Have you seen how bad it actually is over here? And they're like, do you have a plan in place to take care of this area? And they're like, well, we don't need a plan because it ain't that bad. And I said, I'm here right now, and it is trash really everywhere. The water's not even flowing. And I said, let me ask you this. How big is your staff that cleans this area? And he said 3 people.
Oh, wow.
I said 3 people. I said, that's cool. You're going to need at least 300.
Yeah.
I said, no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I said, you meet me here. Let's do a walk around together, and I'll show you what I'm seeing.
Right.
And he's like, oh, it's not that bad. So then actually I went to his supervisor and then that one's supervisor, and I was like, now you can come over there with me and come take a look at it. Mind you, they said EPW goes over there and they actually lawn mowed all the trash and tossed it into the water.
Wow.
So then they got called out for that as well. Now, when we actually did the main cleanup, that's when they did, I can say this, they did step up and they did take out any trash that was removed from the water. They did take out of there and remove it for us. But at the same time, as we need to put things in place so it doesn't go back to that.
Right.
It's
nice.
At the same time, it's like we have other areas that are hit rather than this area too, but we have other areas that need just as much call to action, more highlight as well. Because I mean, I just saw a nonprofit that's actually dumping into an area. So if I give you stuff that I'm donating and you don't want it via location, they're dumping it.
Wow, that's not good.
Now, as an organization,
we can't have that.
No, as an organization, you get hit with fines a lot more than a resident. The problem with this is a lot of this dumping that's going on, it's not being taken care of right away because they don't know who's doing what. Now, the problem with that is, in order to know exactly who's doing it, you literally need to catch them in the act of dumping. You can't say it's this person because they want the proof. They show them a picture or a video. They need to see it in person though, at that moment. So it's a lot harder. And I feel like there's still things that we can do rather than finding the person. It's actually just putting things in place where you could really catch somebody doing it. We can have more cameras put over there and figure out the time frame. But at the same time, too, is we also need to hold our business owners accountable for their property as well.
Right.
Because when there's properties that are not being maintained, if you have a property here, a property here, and a property here, if the outside properties are not maintaining, and the property in the middle is a business owner, they're going to be looked at as like, listen, they're not holding these guys accountable. I'm out of here. I'm not having my property be cleaned up. I'm not looking like a trash area. Same time as if you have 3 properties and you have vacant ones that are just as a mess as a property owner. When a property has so much damage or trash, it gets looked at as something that's on the market. Okay, when something's on the market as a buyer, if it's not, if it looks like an eyesore rather than eye candy, then I don't want it. Right. As a buyer, as a buyer, why would I want it? I'm gonna have to put so much more money into it. I think the city needs to maintain some of these properties that are vacant, so they are more appealing to a buyer. Because when they're not appealing, that's the reason why we have almost 400 properties that are vacant.
Right.
400 vacant storefronts.
I'm glad you brought that up because I actually I got a segue to my last question. speaking of businesses, what are some of the things you would do for small businesses, or for more businesses to open up in Brockton? What are some of your ideas to get those businesses here, or back to Brockton?
So, few things on it is, I think we need to bring more art to the city, to have it be more appealing as well. When we have a museum in the city and there's not as much art, I mean, we have a couple different displays of art on the sides of buildings and stuff like that, but we can still do better as art related, I guess. We have a lot of artists in the city that can really show off their talents and use us as a platform. I think there needs to be, again, better communication with business owners that we have to show that we care, that they're here and still here. They're loyal. To bring in the new ones, I don't see a reason why a new business owner needs to go into City Hall to get a business certificate and pay $150 when the next town over is charging $35.
Right.
There's no reason for that. Why are we charging that much compared to somebody else? Now, somebody could be like, listen, that might be the only reason why I don't want to put a business here.
Right.
If they're gonna nickel and dime me just on this, they're gonna nickel and dime me when I'm trying to buy or get a permit or everything else, and it's just a runaround, and you're making me jump through hoops. We need our city councilors to not walk into businesses as a code enforcer and scare people also, because what that's doing is it's creating a bad relationship to a point where this council is doing this. Well, they think that maybe all the councilors are like that.
Right.
In reality, they're not. And in this type of subject, she needs to know her place. And you can't look at it as you have so much free time on your hands that you're going to go do code enforcement for free. We have code enforcers. Let them do their job. But what you're doing is you're going into these businesses and harassing. Like, we can't have that. As far as trying to bring in more, I think we need to release the list of the vacant buildings that we actually have, because our realtors have been asking for this and City Hall hasn't released it. For what reason? I have no idea. But that's another, if we have a list of buyers ready to buy right now, how do they know what's available?
Right.
Right.
So it's like we can release that information. I think, like I said, I want to try to attack that PPT, which is the personal property tax thing I mentioned.
Right.
Because there's no reason for us to be double dipping. I understand the reason behind it, and there are other towns and cities that are doing it. And really, that money goes into the revenue. But when the residents and business owners don't see the changes being made with that money, I feel like you're just taking my money.
Right.
Like, I understand this is Massachusetts. We all know that. But at the same time, if we have these vacant buildings that we have, these 400 or more, or whatever it is, if all 400 of those get filled by a brand new business, or a business from another town now comes to Brockton, would that increase our revenue? Of course. So if we were literally to fill every vacant building that we have, every one of them, and we knock down these ones that need to be demolished and big good sized corporate ones also, it's going to create even more jobs, then so be it. We need it to be done. But if all of them were to get filled, that would bring in a drastic amount of revenue to a point where we should let that PPT go.
Yeah.
There's no, because if we can survive off the revenue, and some people, and the other thing too is the revenue is higher than PPT. So if the 400 vacant buildings was to cover the PPT costs, then the revenue would be much higher. And like I said, it's just building the relationships, and there is no relationships being built, because in the beginning, we haven't been business friendly in years. They can say whatever they want and say they are, but they're not. They're not. And I'm gonna bring up the PP. There's actually a small business event coming up, and I'm actually I'm actually going to go there. With the purposes of the event is to hear from the small businesses, hear the concerns and needs, and the mayor's office is putting this together. Same time as I will be showing up, and I'm going to ask these same exact questions too, is about this PPT and about these vacant buildings, and to see what they have to say, because I don't think they. I got many meetings. Like I said, everything I do is for them.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everything whether I say, do, try to do for the city is for my kids, for my family. And at the same time as when I say for my family and for my kids, I mean this person's kids and this person's family.
Exactly.
Right.
If I'm looking out for my kids, I'm looking out for your kids.
You're looking out for the residents' kids.
The residents.
Right.
The residents.
As our forces would say, is I have your six. You know what I mean?
There it is. There it is.
Yeah,
well, thank you. That actually, and thank you for everybody that's listening. A lot of great information, covered a lot of bases, went into detail. He had evidence. You're the first person to bring evidence. We had evidence.
One. He's like,
right? You see this? Like, that's awesome.
This is something we didn't even do yet. If you want.
He came prepared, people. That's how you know he's ready to work. But again, that actually ends our interview portion. And I will pass it off to Miss Quest. What you got for us?
Okay, we're going to do the lightning round very quickly, and then we're going to give an opportunity to people to, follow you. Are you still taking donations for the campaign? I mean,
I don't focus on donations really, but I'll take them.
Okay, right. Well, so we'll give you a chance to talk about your social media afterwards. We're going to do a quick round. Quick.
No
All
problem.
right.
Let's do it.
Boxing or basketball?
Boxing.
Ooh.
Favorite cereal?
Cocoa Krispies.
You
Nice.
went way back.
Right.
Way back. Who inspires you?
My kids. At the end of the day, like I said, everything I do for them.
Sour Patch Kids, Swedish Fish, or Boston Baked Beans candy?
Swedish Fish.
Good choice, because Boston Baked Beans candy is disgusting. Ew.
I
Wait. You like it? I don't have a problem
with them. I don't have a problem with them.
I should have known.
But I have a preference.
Right. I should have known. It's the accent. No one can have that accent and have a problem with Boston Baked Beans. Like, there's no way you can say that. I knew that was coming. It's cool. You see, I have no accent. I've been here forever.
Sometimes it rubs off. Sometimes it don't.
None.
I mean, how often do I get the hey, you know who you look like? That fighter. What's his name? Oh, Conor McGregor.
Oh, right.
At least once a week. At least once a week.
That's hilarious.
And I like Conor McGregor too. He be putting in that work. He put in that work.
Wow. All right, let's go. Apple pie or Boston cream pie?
Ooh,
apple pie.
Boston cream pie is gross. I don't care what you say. You may like it.
I don't.
Okay, good.
I'll take pumpkin pie though.
I don't like that either. Okay, here's the next one. Favorite Celtic of all time?
Ooh,
Larry Bird.
Nice.
Godfather or Star Wars?
Godfather.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Last question. If you could erect a statue or a monument in Ward 4, what would it be?
Hagler.
Or who would it be of? Like
Hagler. Marvin Hagler.
He's from Brockton.
And he passed.
Absolutely.
I mean, actually, I would want two. I would rather want I want a Marvin Hagler one, but actually, I mean, we need a memorial for the kids that passed at the DWs too. But that's not. It should. I don't think it should go at Ward 4, but we do need one
in Brockton.
I think that actually needs to go to the park. Actually.
That's a great idea. Thank you,
Mike.
Thank you.
I know. I'll tell you this: both of them are in motion, though. I know people that are involved in putting both these statues in place.
Yeah, they definitely need marvelous Marvin Hagler.
We have a Rocky one. We need a Marvin one.
Yeah, Marvin was amazing. That's all I have. I just want to say thank you so much for doing this interview.
I appreciate
Yes, yes.
Fun.
Like I said, I don't
Actually,
focus on the donations because it's really just goes to your supplies and everything like that.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's like I'll do whatever I can without having the donations and signs everywhere. I look at these signs as litter.
Yeah, it's true.
Signs are everywhere.
Mhm,
And at the end of the day, you get it when this is all over, you're gonna be the one out there cleaning them all up and picking them up and everything like that. They're everywhere. I don't really focus on them, but I mean, I do have my signs out there, and I have some more coming. But it's not. I don't focus on them though.
I get it. I get it.
right.
Casey, did you
Well,
have?
I do have. Yeah, I have one more question. Before we finally wrap this up, and you can talk about, where people can reach you.
Okay.
With everything that we talked about,
Mhm.
from my questions to Lana's questions, or even something that we didn't bring up. If there was one thing that you wanted the people to walk away with tonight about you, what would that one thing be?
Real quick.
Real quick.
No, don't bring out your papers and exhibits. Quick.
Pull a whole book out. At the end of the day, you need somebody that's actually going to represent us and give you a voice. Somebody who's actually in the community fighting for you, and I'll continue to fight for you. If you're in my corner during this fight, and I'll always continue to fight for you.
Perfect. Nice. So where can people reach you? And we're gonna.
You can find me on my Facebook personal page at Mike Smith, or you can find me at Mike Smith for Ward 4 City Council at facebook.com.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you, Mike. Have a
I
great.
appreciate you guys for having me.
Yes. Thank you. Good luck. Good
Yes,
luck.
definitely.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
See
Thank
you guys
everyone out
next
there.
week.
Hey,
Yes.
contact me anytime.
Yeah.
All right,
We
we'll
will.
do. We'll do.
Bye-bye.